How often do you play with a friend who's a brilliant chipper and they have this way of, they walk to a chip shot unbelievably relaxed, confident, and it's like they're not even trying, and they get up there and just casually just hold the chip shot just like that. Yet you stand over a shot and you don't have that at all. You're really tense. You've got a lot of anxiety going on, and you're so nervous of whether you're going to fat it or thin it. And then what you do is you jump on a video like this, and you, in the hope that this is the video that's going to fix your chipping. Now the problem is, what I'm going to do in this video is that shot there that I hit into the hole. What makes it relaxed and consistent and gives me confidence is that I have a pattern of movement that leads to great chipping. What I'm seeing with a lot of players, and you might be the same, is if you're struggling with chipping, it's not a magic tip that's going to solve this thing. That just fills your head with more instructions. What we need to do is just simply change your pattern of movement. When you change your pattern of movement, you too can start to effortlessly start striking those chip shots consistently, and then you can expand that and build the skill for many shots around the green. That is what I'm going to cover in this week's video. Before I do though, look, if you're new to the channel, it's one of your first lessons of mine, please consider subscribing. At least videos just like this one every single week to try and help you improve your game. Plus you never have to remember a thing. Everything I do here, I'll put into a free download practice guide that I'll pin to the top comment below this video. So by the end of this video, I want you to start to have some real confidence over these short shots around the green. Confidence that you know you're actually going to strike it. Because I think for me, that is the number one anxiety, isn't it? It certainly was for a research student of mine, Danny, this week. He would approach shots, he really didn't know whether he was going to fat it or thin it. And he'd been jumping onto YouTube, trying to find lots of different, in fact, tried lots of different tips. The problem is none of those tips fixed it because he didn't fix his overall pattern. He had a poor pattern, and then we're starting to put all these different band-aids in. That just doesn't work. What we did was simply fix his overall pattern to provide a more rhythmical motion, and all of these complicated things, they just naturally they just happened, right? And that's what I want for you too. And here's the bonus with this. Look, data from my shot scope, what tells me, look, you can practice like hell on your driver, but if you improve that by 10%, you're only going to drop 0.02 shots. If we can improve your shot game, on average, the average player could save 4.9 shots a round. This is how important this is. So take a look at this and tell me what you see. These are different patterns. This is the first pattern. This is a different pattern. What do you see? You can see one's rhythmical, can't you? And one's a little bit jerky. So the very first thing, and fundamentally this has to exist in shot game, the ball gets in the way of the swing. The ground gets in the way of the swing. Most of the time, and it's completely understandable, this was certainly a situation for Danny, when you struggle with strike, what do you want to do? You want to improve your strike. But you make striking the ball very, very important. Instead, what we want to do, before we move on to the body, I want you to start to make some motions where the club is swinging and we don't really know where the target is almost, yeah? The ball will just get in the way of that motion. Very much like if I was throwing a ball to you, yeah? No, there's a movement, right? This is incredibly important. So the very first thing I did with Danny is this. He didn't have correct body motion. I'm going to show you what we did in a second. But without a flowing motion, there's no chance. So you could have poor body mechanics and have some flow, and you could get away with some pretty average movement, right? So let's get ourselves set. All I'm going to do now is this, and I want you to do this the same. Maybe even grab a club and just swing the club backwards and forwards and see if you can feel the momentum of this golf club swinging backwards and forwards in a flowing manner, as if the ball would simply get in the way of that club, right? We start with that motion initially. Now, remember, Danny had, and maybe you're the same, had a bit of anxiety with a lot of these things. So initially he could feel the jerkiness, but that's great. I said, that's fine, Danny. Just keep swinging. This is your practice swings. Allow the club just to flow through. If I was throwing a ball to you, look, there's a little bit of an impulse. I'm not just going like this. There's a impulse to this. There's a throw to this. So I got him to keep swinging backwards and forwards and imagine the ball would get in the way of this. He would hit the ground a little bit behind the golf ball. He would hit the ball first sometimes, but suddenly the jerkiness started to stop. And that's really, really important, because once the jerkiness stops, it allows us then to work on the correct body motion. So one more like that, get ourselves set, a couple of practice swings, just feel as if the ball doesn't really exist. And ultimately, the club's swinging backwards and forwards and just gets in the way of that ball. So I know that I purposely didn't put great mechanics on that, but it doesn't matter. The club is swinging, that's the first pattern. Now let's start to work on the body pattern to create great contact every time. Take a look at this and tell me what you see. This is one pattern. This is another pattern. See the difference? Too many players, and Danny was the same, too many players have excessive rotation on the way back. The hands roll inside, and when you rotate, your body starts to move up to the right. That can cause you to fat it. Now the problem is the path's coming way too far to the right. Then we suddenly start to flick our wrists. Lots of things are happening. Now what Danny did is he'd go onto YouTube and he said, look, yeah, I'm coming inside, and he'd try and get the club outside. The problem is he had a pattern of movement that naturally led to this. All I needed him to do was simply say, Danny, look, we can get all of this club working beautifully up and down if you just change your pattern to, as opposed to a twisting motion, just create a rocking motion. So I said to him, look, imagine this here. All we're going to do is we're going to rock the shoulders back, down, and look at this. Through, there's a little rotation as we come through, but ultimately, look, it's more of a rock. And if we rock, look, can you see how the hand stays on top? The club just stays where it is. No rotation whatsoever. I'm coming back down and rocking back down. And now look, through the shot. So you get a lot of the beautiful mechanics, what you see with the top players, simply by having the pattern of movement that is more of a rock versus, look, a rotation around. So that for him was a bit of a game changer. So we get ourselves set here. He's like, oh my God, that feels so simple. So we get ourselves set so that imagine now all you're going to do, look, for now, you've got the flowing club, right? We've learned that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to give that flowing club a guide, which is now the rocking of the motion. Let's see what happens. Hey, presto. Simple rocking motion of the shoulders, and we get a strike, right? So we keep going with that and just keep adding rhythm to this motion. 1, 2, let's not carefree attitude. 1, 2, hey presto. We can repeat that all day long, right? So that was already starting to kind of get some serious improvement in the consistency of his motion, and I could see the confidence coming in. There was definitely some fat still in there, there's still some thins in there, but far less. But more importantly, he knew now what to do, and this is very, very important. Now, so we've introduced the flowing pattern, we've introduced the rocking pattern. The final pattern I introduced, and this is so important. To make consistent contact over and over again, you have to be incredibly good at controlling the depth of your arc. Let me show you something. If I put this club down like this, okay, this is the surface of the ground. Most of the time, what golfers are doing is this. Here, look, you can see I've got an arc, and this is the bottom of my arc, and it's hitting here, right? But if I was to lower myself to the ground, suddenly the bottom of the arc is still there, but now where would I hit? I'd hit the ground way back here. That would be a fat shot. What we need to be unbelievably good at in chipping is controlling the depth of this arc. We don't want it going under the ground. And the best players have this one pattern in their short game shots. When they are swinging, when they're coming down, you will see them gently moving, look, away from the ground. They are never, ever working towards the ground. They're always working, look, away from the ground. The pattern, therefore, is this. Notice what I'm doing here. There's a softness in my legs, and as the club comes down, I am almost standing up a little bit here. And this is the pattern. It's always opposite. As I go down with the club on my arms, my body gently straightens upwards, just a little bit. Can you see that? Compare this to this pattern. That's where I see most people. And Danny that he could feel that. That was the yips. So all he needed to do was experience, look at this motion. And we exaggerate to start off. We've really got him quite low, then going high. We really kind of promoted this as an exaggeration, okay? So we'll get ourselves set here. And I want you to kind of do this. Really sense you're rising gently through the shot. And a lot of people say, well, won't I top it or thin it? No, it's a skill you build. It's just a rhythm. I'm listening to the sound of the ground. It's a rhythm we need to add into your shot game. So we've got ourselves set here. Rock, rise, beautiful strike. Didn't control my distance. But that's everything there. We got a lovely clip of the shot. The ball was on line. This will build your confidence in your short game by having those patterns in. So let's just kind of summarize that so you too can start to kind of build this in. We get ourselves set. The first thing is this. Do you have, pay attention, is my club almost like throwing a ball? Do I have a rhythm to this club? There's no sudden jerk at the ball. I need to trust that the ball will get in the way. There's the first thing. The second pattern, I'm not rotating, look. I am rocking. I am rocking, yeah? Now from here, I'm really experiencing now the rhythm. The club's going down, I'm going up slightly. There's a rocking motion to this. This is the patterns that lead to solid strike. We'll finish off in a second about how you change with different shots, but this is ultimately how we, time and time again, look, create these beautiful, consistent chip shots. Now you can see on that last one there, it went a little bit too far past the hole. Why? The ball flight was quite low, came off a little bit hot. What would I do to change that? Well, once you have these patterns, you can then start to develop skills on changing that ball flight. If I wanted a higher ball flight, I'd move the ball slightly further forward in my stance, yeah? So I'd catch the ball slightly later on in the arc. I will add all of that into a later video. For now, as I said to Danny, all those little skills can come. But I'm sure if you're anything like Danny, you want to make solid contact time and time again. To do that, you need to build the patterns into your short game. Start with this, and then what I'll do in the up and coming weeks, I will then start to show you how you develop that into a real full short game around the greens where you can start to alter the flights from all different lies around the green. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, maybe share it with one of your friends. And if you'd like to see how patterns can really help your ball striking with not just your short game, but with your irons and your driver, check these two videos out right here. As opposed to fixing random stuff in your swing, fix patterns and you get a lot of the technical stuff all for free. And remember, I'll pin a practice plan in the top comment below this video. But until next week, have a wonderful golfing week.